Welcome to the New Jersey Autism Think Tank video series for Autism Acceptance Month. Our mission is to explore the status of autism in 2025 with individuals who are living the autism experience in various ways. I'm your host, Joe Pizzo. We're pleased to have a variety of individuals share their experiences and insights with us throughout the New Jersey Autism Think Tank video series. Today's episode features a wonderful young lady, my special guest, Michelle Vinokurov. As members of the Autism Think Tank in New Jersey, Michelle and I shall chat because she is a true inspiration, and I have to tell you, she's also a personal hero of mine. We at the New Jersey Autism Think Tank are pleased to have individuals such as Michelle share their experiences and insights with us. So let's take a moment to listen to today's expert and learn a bit, shall we? Michelle, welcome, and it's an honor to have this opportunity to interview you.
Thank you so much for having me on, and yeah, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Okay, we'll go right to our first question then. Michelle, at what age were you diagnosed with autism? And if I may ask, how was that diagnosis received by your family?
So for me, I was diagnosed around the age of 2. This was in Brooklyn, New York, in the year of 2000.
Mhm.
So like the early 2000s, and for my family, my parents were definitely shocked hearing the news because this was around my mom's birthday that year. So it was a lot for my parents to take in for sure. And my older sister was like, she was 2. She was, no, 4 around the age of, at that time. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a lot to take in for my parents. So for sure, not sure what the future was going to be like.
Did it frighten you at all?
Uh, for me, for me personally, I was not very aware of anything that was in my environment. So, uh, not sure what to say about that, to be honest, because I didn't, that's how severe my challenges were back then.
Okay. Now, when you went to school, were you in the regular education classes or were you in special classes?
So in the beginning, I attended a specialized school in New Jersey like my family and I moved to New Jersey in 2001 for a reason. And part of it was because of getting better services for me. So I attended a specialized school in New Jersey called Children's Center Monmouth County. And then from there, after making such huge growth from there, I went to a public school district in my town school district in Marlboro and was in the special education class for a few years.
Was that a difficult transition for you to go into a regular ed class?
Going into a regular ed class, that actually by the time that happened, I was starting to mainstream a bit in middle school.
Mhm.
And um like I was saying, like it was gradual steps of going from like a specialized school to special ed classes to starting the mainstream slowly. And I was so happy that it was like a gradual thing that happens because I was like, otherwise I would have been overwhelmed with doing gen ed classes all at once. So I think that gradual process helped me a lot.
Now, I understand that you've earned more than one college degree so you could help others with autism. Please share with us some more information about that educational journey. It's incredible, and I want everyone to hear about this.
Oh yeah, for sure. So after I graduated from high school, I graduated from Colts Neck High School from the class of 2016. I went to Brookdale Community College and I graduated as the class of 2019 from Brookdale, earning my associate's degree for being a teacher assistant. Right after Brookdale, I got my foot in the door full time as a classroom paraprofessional for students with autism in the kindergarten through 5th grade self contained classroom setting. And then from there, that classroom pushed me during the COVID years to go back to school. I went back to pursue my bachelor's degree with Purdue University Global. And during that time, I also was going through where my family and I moved to Florida in 2021. and I still was doing college online. And while I did college online, I gained full-time work working as a paraprofessional in Florida and on the side as an RBT. So like I had everything that was happening at the same time. But anyways, my transcript from my community college, all my courses transferred over to for my bachelor's degree program, which I happy to share I did graduate back in 2022 with my bachelor's degree in psychology with concentration in ABA therapy. So it was a lot of hard work, and balancing college and full time working at the same time was just not easy, but I did it.
And people don't realize just how difficult that is, because
Yeah.
going to school is tough enough, but working while you're going to school is difficult for anyone in any situation. So you're to be praised for that.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now it seems that not only have you accomplished all of this, but you're living on your own. And is that a challenge for you? I'm sure, knowing you, it's something that you handle and handle well.
Yeah, this was a big goal of mine for quite a few years now. I remember talking to my parents about this, about like how I really want to be able to own my own house someday. And like they were teaching me about with like how to save money, investing and all that. And so like between with saving up from just having a paraprofessional job to now where I'm currently at today, which I'll explain that more throughout this. But yeah, I've learned to save money over the years that I built enough to where I'm able to own a house. And so last year in 2024, I was able to purchase my own house, which it's a townhouse and stuff. And I've been living in it for more than 6 months now. I've learned to take care of a lot of things in my house now, and it's a dream come true.
Congratulations. That's a major accomplishment
Yeah.
for anyone.
Yeah.
So nice work.
Thank you.
Now I know that recently society's understanding and even awareness of autism has changed somewhat. Is there still a common misconception that the general public has concerning individuals with autism? Is there a way that folks with autism are viewed that really isn't as accurate as it could be?
So there are some things that are still pretty common, such as about with eye contact, stimming, all that. Especially those two the most, because like people think that like just because someone's not looking at you doesn't mean that that they're not listening to you, but that's not true. I've even have students that I work with now that like they don't show eye contact, but they are participating, they're raising their hand and answering questions. So we shouldn't be forcing eye contact. Same thing with stimming. Like stimming helps with self-regulation. So as long as that the person's not harming themselves or others, we shouldn't be stopping someone from stimming. Although I will say that what's changed about with autism from society's view is there's a lot of from people who I talk to from the autism community alone that the for like the person slash identity language, or like even like things like going from using now strength based language when we're talking about people with autism and neurodiversity. So like these kind of terms have been popping up now more than ever. Like even like the terms like neurodivergent or neurodiversity, like those terms that didn't even exist when I was first diagnosed with autism. Like the prevalence back then was just so like rare that now today like it's becoming more common because of the education and advocacy that's happening nowadays. That it's really there's been a lot of improvements for sure because of more voices like myself and others that are coming out from the community to that are able to share personal experiences hands on. So that really helps a lot.
With anything, it's always good to have knowledge, and knowledge that's based in reality rather than in rumor or in half truths.
Mhm.
And it seems that folks such as you, Michelle, doing the things that you're doing are setting an example for a lot of others. And the work that you're doing goes beyond what you actually intend to do, because people, I'm sure, are looking up to you. And I would venture to say that the students you work with, the people you work with, are very well taken care of and respond very positively to your gentle manner. You have a very gentle manner, and that's a good thing.
Thank you.
Okay, so in schools, autism, as you say, has become more um, prominent. We were more aware of it. We're using terms like neurodiversity. So let me ask you, how should someone handle behavioral changes in a school, but not lose respect for the autistic student's needs? How can we get a balance there?
So, just so people know, like today I work as a behavior specialist, and with my background as a BCABA, I passed my exam last year. Just so people know, I am certified. And when it comes to the biggest thing when it comes to maintaining respect for autistic students' needs is understanding that, first of all, the fact that people are their own individuals, like just focusing on like building connections and really like focusing more so, like I know especially from the school setting we focus a lot on schools, like teachers like to focus on compliance, but at the same time we got to be focusing on being compassionate and building connection, because without that you're not going to see a student grow that way. And also really like being in the shoes of someone who is autistic and neurodivergent, that knowing that like, hey, their brain wires are different, so like understanding that they have different ways of learning, and so being adaptable and teaching that flexibility at the same time, things that we model, students observe that. Even autistic students and neurodivergent students, all kinds of students are going to observe what you're modeling. So it's really important that at the same time we are respecting, like let's say that someone needs a break, let them take a break. Let's say that they need to move around the classroom, let them move around the classroom, because that's their way of regulating, like whatever they're saying to you, a lot of times they're being honest with themselves, and this is what helps. Like I'll give you a good example. I had an autistic student tell me that they listen to music because that calms them, and I'm like, okay, well, I that's something that will be incorporated in all your classes and stuff. And this was a high school student, so you know just letting teachers know, like, hey, this is music is what helps them calm down. Like when you start to see like signs of agitation, like, hey, let them know that they can listen to music, like things like that. Just it's more so like normalizing these kind of like accommodations and everything, because it's really that's we're just trying to meet, like every single person is trying to meet their own needs, and it's about respecting that client's dignity and everything.
You said a phrase, compassionate connection, and I think that says as much as anything. And that goes not just for students in the autistic community, but it goes for everyone. When you make a compassionate connection, your chances of enhancing a behavior, of changing a behavior if necessary, of putting someone into a more positive direction increases tremendously, because you say that you care. And it doesn't matter what your background is or what your situation is. Being compassionate is received almost always with open arms. Yeah, there are some conditions where it's difficult to break through, but I think even sometimes the person who's being compassionate has a much better chance of making a difference in someone's life. So I'm so happy to hear you use a phrase like that, because I think that summarizes who you are and your approach, not just to dealing with your students, but dealing with everyone. I know I found that on our New Jersey Autism think tank, you always dealt with everyone there, no matter what their situation happened to be, whether they were PhDs or whether they were
Mm,
paras, it didn't matter. What mattered is they were people.
mm.
They are people and they'll continue to be people. And you
Yeah.
recognize that. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question that's a little bit off the topic that we've been going on so far, but I think it's one that maybe needs to be addressed. And that's um, the whole idea of hiring practices.
Mm.
In 2025, do we look at hiring and supporting autistic employees a bit differently than we had in the past? Now, I know that you're not a human resources person by any means, but just from what you've seen and in the experiences you've had being hired, uh, how has that changed?
So I can say personally that like there's a ABA therapy company I've been working with on the side called Full Spectrum ABA, and they started to run now a autistic and neurodiverse program. So like with through that program, they are hiring people like myself and others who are on the spectrum and who are neurodivergent, and they get hired throughout different areas of the company, whether as a provider like myself, who's a BCABA. I've started my journey with them as an RBT, like going through the process of becoming an RBT. They helped me through it because they knew I was going into that field. So as soon as they knew my interest of helping others, they got me right on. Like they hired me and everything. So it's like sometimes it's more of like how it's evolved now. I think there are places like Full Spectrum or even like with the school district are starting to use more of that strength based approach when it comes to hiring autistic and neurodivergent employees. Uh, there is because of the fact that there's more education and there's advocacy about it. Is it still evolving? Yeah. It's not everywhere, but it's in my own personal experiences. I've noticed that there's definitely a lot more of like using like a strength based approach when it comes to like getting to know potential employees who are autistic. And I could say this personally too, that like I never disclosed during my interviews. I usually talk about my experiences later on when I've built trust in the workplace and everything. That's eventually when I share my experiences, but in the beginning I don't, because I try to share things from like what I bring to the table, really, like what my strengths are more so and what I can bring to the company.
I'm sure they all appreciate that too.
Yeah.
It's nice to be there and be evaluated as a future employee, as someone who can be considered for employment, rather than I'm in this situation, so hire me, or I'm in this situation, you may not wish to hire me. That shouldn't enter the picture at all. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that you're going to do some amazing things as your life continues on. And as you move forward, what are your future plans? What are you looking to do? What impact are you hoping to have?
So the next thing I want to keep on doing, so like this month has been the most I ever gotten of like keynote speaking opportunities. That's pretty much my next level that I'm trying to get to now. Is like I know there's been like people that for me I look up to as well, like Dr. Temple Grandin and Dr. Carrie Magro. Like those two for me is like I've Dr. Temple Grandin, like she's one of the reasons like how I've learned as I was older, I've learned that I was autistic, even though I was diagnosed early on. If it wasn't for her watching her documentary, I wouldn't have learned myself that I was autistic. Um, so like with her, how she's shared her journey and everything, and now she's a whole big animal science professor. And Dr. Kerry Merrirow, like he did an interview with me back in like 2020 during COVID time. So like, uh, so like it's just from all these people that like have done like big things like that. So like getting to share their journeys and stuff. So that's pretty much my next thing, is to be able to keep on like educating at that level, like even possibly like around the world too, to be able to share my journey.
I'm sure you're going to have a tremendous impact, whatever direction you take, and however widespread your influence happens to be. The folks who know you are very blessed, and I'm part of that group. I think the world of you, and always shall. Now, we're out of time, unfortunately. I could speak with you for hours because, again, you have that compassion. Thank you so much for taking time out of, I know you have a busy schedule, so for taking time out of that busy schedule and joining me today to chat with our audience about your life's journey. You are a wonderfully talented and resilient individual, and you're very courageous in sharing without reservation your life story with our New Jersey Autism Think Tank video series listening audience. So once again, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on and stuff. And I love sharing my journey with everyone. I just, it's important for people to hear.
We may have to do a part 2 of this interview down the road somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. And for our listening audience, please be sure to look for all of our upcoming New Jersey Autism Think Tank programs and follow us on social media for the New Jersey Autism Think Tank video series. And for my hero, Michelle Vinokurov, I'm your host, Joe Pizzo. Have a wonderful day.